Alright, everybody, we are back with another episode of the Florencio Files. One of the cheesiest players in the world playing Terran today. He is going to be trying to take it back and say, F you, daddy. Why did you never come back after going to buy those smokes from the store? Daddy, the Zerg player in the top left side, Mechatron in the bottom right. We'll see if he actually plays mech or not. I know he's been experimenting with a whole lot of different things. For those who don't know, Florencio's been trying out some new tricks apparently, and I don't know how exactly he's been doing those, but we'll see exactly what he does. A very early gas first build order, and so far that's a depot that's perfectly on time. Is he about to build a barracks right at 150 minerals? Guys, this build order is almost a correct build order. And he queues an SCV with no downtime, puts 2 workers on gas immediately, pulls back the extra one that he accidentally pulled back onto minerals. I mean, okay, he's not utilizing one of his close mineral patches, his workers aren't doubled up very well, but still, this is about as tight an opening as I've ever seen from the Sewer Mermaid, and that is awesome. And oh, he's gonna need it. He's getting one base Ravager, guys. Daddy in the top left. Oh man, what a... I mean, not only did he abandon Florencio and never come back from this, he's also gone double gas into Roach Warren. This is a very aggressive build order. Now, this looks like it was off maybe a 14 spawning pool. You're not actually... Usually you'd try to squeeze 2 Zerglings in to like run around and see if you can get a little bit of pressure done early. And that can also potentially pull the Reaper home. And if you can pull the Reaper home, that's going to be huge, because then the Ravagers can bust. Now, it's also very important this Overlord survives, because you're going to use that to spot up the ramp and bust in. This is one of the best kind of cheese build orders out there. So he's got an Overlord there. Now, obviously, wants to save lava. And the idea here is all your money is just to build roaches, right? You need 150 minerals for 2 roaches, 225 for 3. And then you're going to need, of course, 225 gas to morph them all into Ravagers. You can see he actually has more gas than he needs, has kind of overdone it on the gas just a little bit, but that's okay. 3 roaches are on the way, and then you want to build 1 more roach, 1 overlord. I mean, this is a very tight kind of cheese build order, guys, and especially if a Terran doesn't scout, they regularly die to this. Starts a queen behind it. That's curious. What's the queen for? Because there's no way the queen's gonna... That's for a transition. And isn't building more roaches. It's 3... You're meant to just keep rallying Ravagers. This is completely all in. You don't have a hatchery. So Daddy is doing an all in, but is now not building any units behind it. No Overlord, no drones, no what? And that... Okay. Okay, now more roaches are coming. Okay, so there's going to be a very delayed second wave of units. Okay, that does make sense. Florencio's already building a bunker, though. We've got 2 factories on the high ground. I mean, obviously the factory, if you get out like a tank or a cyclone, it's so good versus this. Florencio's like, yeah, those units will be great. So he's like, well, why not build 2 factories? That's very expensive, but guess what, guys? He's on 1 base, essentially. Yes, he's got a command center, but he's built it on the high ground. 2 bunkers is very wise. The problem he has is he doesn't have many units to put inside those bunkers. Where's his other Marine, man? He has 2 Marines right now. I don't know where it is. I honestly can't see where this other Marine is. There it is. Oh, he's got to repair that bunker. Oh my god, he's only pulled 4 SCVs. He really needs to pull more. That SCV blocked for a moment as well. The Ravagers are taking a lot of damage. Good dodge on the bile from Florencio. Oh, and remember I said the Overlord needs to be there. That Overlord was a little slow to get there, and the real trick with this build is you're meant to get up to 7 Ravagers as quickly as possible. So corrosive bile, if you get 7 corrosive biles at once, that's 420 damage. And 420 is not just a cool number like 69, it's also a number which happens to one-shot a 400 hit point bunker. If you drop those all at once, repair don't matter. So he's just going to go for the depots now, but these roaches are a little bit slow because of investing in this queen, which of course hasn't been used for anything up to now. And Daddy giving Florencio a little bit of time. If Florencio gets this tank out, he'll be good. He forgot to use his other gas. He took a second gas, but forgot to use it. Oh no, Florencio. Once the tank's up, as long as he doesn't siege it too far forward, he should be okay. That's pretty conservative tank placement, but I mean, the real important thing is if the Ravagers push the ramp, that you can stay alive. Now, Florencio, of course, not really building anything right now. He's in a bit of panic. He's floating his command center to the corner of the map, which is actually sick here, because then, you know, it's hard to retake your natural, especially if you're going tanks, not cyclones, because a cyclone can run in, kill the Overlord, and then just start locking onto the Ravagers one at a time, like really effectively. Now, Daddy has 500 minerals, so if Daddy goes double expand behind this, that's totally playable. If Daddy builds some Overlords and drones to saturate the minerals, that would be huge. Already has more gas than he'll need for basically the rest of this game. You can see the biles. There's enough Ravagers to one-shot it, but they're not throwing the biles all at once. They're dropping them 1 or 2 at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But They were spaced out, but still does get the kill on that bunker. There's a tank on the ramp, though, and with a second tank as well. So you can see as soon as you enter there, you get shot, and then as soon as you hit the top of the ramp to get in bile range, you're going to get hit by the other tank as well. So Daddy does throw some biles, and Florencio's going to have to pull that back, or he will lose his barracks and ability to build that orbital in the corner of the map. More SCVs being pulled to repair, still not on his second gas, and Florencio's whole build is about gas. The second factory unable to be used this entire time because he forgot to put on that second gas. Come on, Flo, you could do it, buddy. The Marines going down there, that is 10 Ravagers. That's actually wild. Daddy, for some reason, is just biling the ramp at this stage, does drop a hatchery, and no third base just yet. Daddy on the mass. Honestly, guys, if Daddy pushes the ramp, Daddy can win the game right now. Daddy could just run up the ramp, put the weak Ravagers at the back, 3 biles on that tank, 3 biles on that tank, one-shot the Cyclone, you win the game. This is actually game over. If he pushes the ramp and Florencio doesn't pull his SCVs, because Florencio is not building any extra units, but the Cyclone does get a Ravager kill there, and you can see that Daddy is putting all of the APM into biling the ramp. What is this player doing? They've got 550 minerals. They're not injecting. They're not building queens. They're holding down the drone key, and all they're doing is just dropping piles on the ramp. This is the funniest shit I've ever seen. This is like, I'm gonna, imagine you're in a fight. You're there, you're like, okay, let's go, let's step outside. You step outside, you're kind of like, maybe you take your shirt off, maybe you loosen up a little bit, maybe you loosen up your clothes, whatever. You're getting ready, maybe you're having a little stretch. The other guy's like, oh yeah, you want to fucking go? He steps out into the alleyway, headbutts a brick wall, and then starts vomiting on the ground repeatedly for 5 minutes. That's essentially what Daddy's doing right now. We're on Daddy's camera. What? Like, I don't know what the logical point of spamming vials. I mean, obviously the idea is I'll contain you. You can't come down the ramp. Florencio is not trying to come down that ramp. Daddy is now finally, once every 5 minutes, going to look at home, build some queens, build some drones, and then immediately back to projectile vomiting on the ground. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. The Ravagers just kind of headbutting into that Cyclone. They're going to chase into the tanks as well. Guys, I don't even want to watch this from Florencio's camera. I just want to watch this from Daddy's camera. This is a match made in heaven. 2 players who are just staring at the units and not macroing. Florencio is supply blocked on 46 for the last 2 minutes, by the way, and hasn't built a single unit. Wait. This is the same units he had when we swapped to Daddy's camera 2 minutes ago. Has he just been microing the Cyclone and doing nothing else? He hasn't done anything else in that time. He's got 1 Banshee. Florencio did nothing. They were both staring at the fight. Florencio was like, I have 2,000 minerals and I'm supply blocked. I need to micro this 1 Cyclone. And Daddy was like, I need to keep projectile vomiting on the ground to intimidate my opponent. Oh, this is hilarious. Daddy's ahead. Daddy is ahead. The only problem for Daddy as, where's the scan go down? Oh, nice, killing the Overlord. That's pretty good. The only problem is, not only is Florencio going to double expand behind this, but he's already got the corner base, and most importantly, Daddy doesn't know about the corner base. And as long as you can at least get the gas up here, you're playing mech right now as Florencio, that's the most important thing. He's obviously rebuilding his barracks because he can't build more factories unless he has a barracks up. Also a very good 1,500 hit point flying scout. Obviously can get biled down them, but definitely something that could help. Now, double Evo chambers are here and a Baneling nest, interestingly enough. Obviously, Daddy is not really showing a lot of willingness to spread creep or anything like that. There's 2 queens in the main, no queen injecting the 3rd, and I think he built one of those queens down there, so a little surprising. Florencio scans, sees Ravagers, and no 3rd base there. Doesn't know that there's a 3rd base down to the south. Nice. And melee carapace upgrade. So Daddy's going to go heavy Banelings, which is pretty good versus Hellbats, if you can connect the Banelings. Zerglings are very good versus tanks if they don't have like Hellbats and Widow Mines and stuff covering them. You know, the splash damage to kill the Zerglings. The Banshees, though, are going to be a problem because there is no real creep. There's 1 tumor down. There's a few queens. Is building a spore in each base at least. But Hyperflight Rotors is coming in. If Florencio can get like 6 or 8 Banshees against a player who isn't really doing much with their situation, is like, I'm going to make some Banelings right now. Isn't really taking a 4th, isn't droning up or anything like that. This could be huge, and I think this all comes to the fact that Daddy's like, well, you're on 1 base. If I go to 3 bases of economy, make army, I should win, which sound kind of like makes sense. This way I'm safe versus any push. I should be able to kill your natural at some point when you try to go for it. Little does he know, Florencio is going to take the most conservative natural. He's going to take a planetary there with tanks on the high ground covering it. Florencio finally getting back into factory production a little bit. Cyclone's going to aggro this army, and I think the Banshees will be needed to defend this. Daddy could absolutely deny that base if he goes in right now. He's feeling a little hesitant. The Ling Bane doesn't have Bane speed or 1-1 just yet. He's going to go in, gets hit by a tank, and runs away. This is an easy snipe from up here with the Ravagers, and only one of these tanks in range to even defend the Zerglings. Yeah, look at that. That command center has to cancel, lift off. But Daddy, once again, falling victim to not checking the corners. It's one of the most common things in StarCraft in 2021, 2022. Everyone on the ladder in a weird game, anytime the game is weird or messy, it's like, it's just this habit you have to build in, which is check the corners, you know? It's, we've heard it in movies whenever people, you know, SWAT teams and stuff are clearing out buildings, people are, you know, military breaking in an urban environment or something. It's like, all right, you check your corners, right? You know, that's an important thing. Well, apparently in StarCraft, a real-time strategy game, checking your corners is the one thing everyone forgets to do in 2022. They're like, yeah, what's that mean? Florencio cloaks as he leaves the base in case there's spotter units on the tower. Oh my god, talk about preemptive cloak there. And he's going to try and dive on in. There's a Spire almost done, which is actually really handy for Daddy. Daddy's on 53 workers, taking a 4th base here as well. Still isn't fully saturated on any of these bases, except the main, which is a little over. And those Banshees going to take down that Spore. Banshee's one of the highest damage units in the game, guys. They shoot incredibly fast. They do 212 damage attacks each time. So they are awesome. Is he going to try and Ravager Bile this? Please kill your own hatchery with Bile. I think that's what Florencio is trying to bait. Notice he's sitting above the hatchery, and Florencio always with a mind to trick his opponent into kind of hurting themselves. That's definitely what he could do. Mass Spore Crawler's going down. 10 spores? That's actually ruining Daddy's work account. If Daddy doesn't hold the drone key down to replace that, Daddy's going to be in big strife, and didn't build any spores on the 4th. The Ravager Ling Bane is going to go across, but there's a planetary, and there's still 2 tanks. There's nothing supporting that. Oh, the Lings get aggroed in, and they're going to die to the tank planetary. Planetary never got repaired, though, so really should be repairing that, Florencio. Queens come out in the open. They're going to go down after that 4th base already falls. The army's going to go in, but there's Banshees there as well. Okay, that base will fall, as will the SCVs. Nice moves for Daddy, who actually could have continued on in there. Killed just those 2 tanks, but meanwhile, it looks like all these spores are getting blasted. 12 mutas on the way. Nothing really that shoots up. Nothing at all that shoots up for Florencio. He's building 2 Cyclones right now, but he's going to need engineering bay and turrets. Looks like he does have an eBay. He has 1 turret. He'll need more than that. And these Banshees are going to have to back on off. Daddy's economy just went to Dicktown there. And you know what? Just the same way Daddy went to the corner store and never came back, I think his economy just did the same thing. Does rebuild a 4th base pretty quickly. Has a bit of minerals, rebuilds the 3rd. If he holds the drone key down as well, uses the mutas to control. I mean, this is easy to bounce back from because of that Zerg production. 18 lava just waiting to be spent. And he's doing it! All right, Daddy's going to bounce back. I thought this would be one big wave of Banshees, gets under his skin, screws up and loses, but that's not the case. This is going to force Florencio to transition, and he still has not got that natural up. He's relying on this corner base, which will mine out at some point. The Banshees, though, going to come in, and there's no Overseer with the Mutalisks. A huge mistake from Daddy. Where are your Overseers? You knew he had mass Banshees, doesn't even cancel the 4th. What are you doing, Daddy? Zero anticipation from Daddy. Finally morphs the Overseer. And let's check out those control groups. So you can see there's 12 Mutalisks on a control group, but the Overseer isn't on the control group with them. So it looks like we're at that level where people have... Wait. So the Overseer is being told to follow a Mutalisk. Okay, I mean, that's kind of good enough. I guess it'll do the trick. You really want it on the same key as them, but fair enough. The Banshees come home. They don't repair up. And it looks like Viking Cyclone is going to be the answer to the Mutalisks. Now, Vikings are not terrible versus Mutalisks, but not amazing, and they're very slow to build. Cyclones, not the worst thing in the world. So a transition into Hydralisks would be amazing against that composition for Daddy. Obviously, it's hard to close with the Cyclones, but if you can get there, you'll be good. But the problem for Daddy is still that economy. Daddy needs to do a little bit more holding the worker key down, and that'll be good. The Mutas, though, are in good position. If Florencio flies in from the south again, Daddy's gonna, you know, end up in trouble. And I think Daddy's still stuck in this mindset of, I'm so far ahead economically. I killed your natural. You haven't even rebuilt it. At some point, your spidey senses have got a tingle, mate. How's he building all this? Check your corners, Daddy. Daddy's like, nah, man, I'm winning this game. Infestation pit, 7 more drones. I mean, and Daddy is indeed winning this game. The problem is, when this Cyclone army comes across, there's no ground right now. We've got 2 Banelings, 3 Ravagers, 12 Zerglings. I mean, mass Zergling beats this army, though, actually. And you've already got 1/1 upgrades. To be honest, the problem with what Florencio's doing, guys, is, yeah, he built 3 factories, but they're all tech labs. Okay, he's getting Widow Mines, which Zerglings aren't as good against. If you have some Banelings, just a few Banelings will wreck Widow Mines. Oh, it's a trap. He sets up a trap. Oh my god, Daddy has no idea. Look at that. The Banshees coming in. They're like, oh no, we ran into the Mutalisks. Uh-oh. Oh, classic Florencio sets up the Widow Mine bait. There's only 1 Mutalisk left. Look at this, he's even trying to micro back the weak Banshees. And oh, Daddy's got to be triggered by that one. That was such a dirty play by Florencio. Baits him into the fireworks. At this point, you've got to realize as Daddy, there's a corner base down there, but he's probably just reeling, not even thinking about how this happened or where it came from. Not building more Mutalisks, trying to build Spore Crawlers here. Where's the Mutalisks? Rebuild the Mutas, bro. Or Hydras, actually. You've got Hydra tech up. Build some Hydras, man. And look at this. The Spores are all in one position. Florencio does sit over them for a moment, but they could just move around to the top if they wanted to. Florencio, he's going to figure that out in a moment. There's a completely wide open mineral line there. Not taking advantage of it just yet. And those Widow Mines, thankfully, not wasting their shots on the lava. Well done there. Florencio's got a planetary backup on his natural expand. His opponent's building so many Spore Crawlers, which makes no sense right now, because if you build a giant circle of spores on every base, every one of those is a drone you're killing, and all it's going to do is defend the bases which you've already spent a long time mining. So they're not going to help you secure a 4th, a 5th base or anything like that, right? Whereas if you're going to build Hydras anyway, that defends the Banshees if you just get enough Hydras. But instead, you're dumping all your money into spores. And this is the trauma of running all your Mutas into those Widow Mines. Your brain's broken at that point. You're so triggered by what the fuck just happened to you. You know you got baited super hardcore, and you immediately at that point as Daddy sense you are being toyed with a little bit, right? Even though Daddy doesn't know, this is just how Florencio plays the game. That's what he always does. Florencio, by the way, still no mag field, so these Cyclones only doing half the damage they should be to buildings and other armored units. Of course, all Zerg buildings are armored, for those who don't know. Hydra Ling coming out. If the Lings can get a bit of a surround, could do well. Got to watch out for the Widow Mines, though, and it looks like this guy did fire again. Overseer is with the Hydra Ling. That's just such a big army, though. Double the army supply from Mechatron. Comes in with a big angle. Nice angling from Daddy. Starting to cleave through the Cyclones, but there's just so many Cyclones. The Banshee's cleaning up the Zerglings on the top. The Vikings do run into the Spore Crawler, and it looks like Florencio here once again, with his trademark style of cheeky backstabs and corner bases, finds a way to catch out an unsuspecting Zerg player. The Spore Crawler's running on forward. Cyclones trying to lock onto just about everything. Banshees picking things off left, right, and center, and Daddy's gonna tap on out there. At no point did Daddy realize there was a corner base. You're kidding me. GG's. Doesn't leave the game, sits there for a moment, and no doubt is thinking to themselves, what just happened? I have got to say, I bet most of Florencio's opponents, like Daddy here, didn't hit the rewind button and didn't see this corner base and just went, wow, guess Terran's pretty good, just muling one base, made a giant army. I don't even know how that happened. Well, that's why we rewind games and learn from our mistakes. I'm not too sure too many people out there are doing it because they keep on falling prey to the same BS. Max and Apollo God, Colonel SC, and Modern Totem, thank you so much for being, of course, our conductors of the D-Town Express. If you guys want to support the Patreon like all of these lovely humans here on the Wall of Bacon, please check out the Patreon down below. We have just revamped all of the reward tiers. There is a bunch of new merch you can get exclusively through supporting the Patreon. So go check that out, and thank you for the love. We'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and good night.